Showdown at Warg-Tooth Crossing, Chapter 11. Kale frowned and said, "You've got to be kidding." The other men in the room stiffened, and Bull looked up, speaking menacingly. "Gentlemen, can you please give us a moment?" The men shuffled out, leaving Kale to face Bull alone. Bull got up and looked out his window, while Kale stood with his arms crossed. Bull stroked some stubble on his chin. "Kale, you and I go way back, but if you ever cross me in front of the men again, I swear I'll have you killed." "Straight to the point, eh, Bull?" Bull turned around to stare Kale in the eye. "Yes, only room for one boss here, Kale." "I don't want to be the boss, Bull, but what you're asking is outrageous." "Then you can leave any time. I never forced you to join my crew. You came to me." Kale looked down, breathing out slowly. He looked back up at Bull and said, "Sure, Bull, I came to you. A lot of God's damn choice I had, though." "Justify it any way you want. I'm pragmatic, Kale. Always have been, always will be." "I remember. You don't think some of the shit you did during the war went beyond pragmatism? Got the job done, didn't it? Besides, I'm not going to waste time debating you." Kale stepped forward. "Okay, fine, but God's damn it, Bull. The settlers have a right to defend themselves. You can't force them not to. If things go on like this, we'll have a full-up war again, and no one wants that." "No, that would really put a cramp on the somat trade, wouldn't it?" "Like I said, you can leave any time." Kale slammed his hands on the desk. "Damn it, Bull. I was there for the first attack 2 weeks ago. I saw how the Scalies took out the first ranch, and then attacked the second. We fought the bastards off and saved those folks. Sure, when Barth arrived with reinforcements, things quieted down, but as soon as they left, another attack came right away. Those ranchers never had a chance." Clearly, those attacks were not ordered by Sligeth. It is true that he needs to get control of his warriors, but this isn't a resumption of the war. Sligeth profits from the somat trade as much as we do, and he wants it to continue. "He told you this, did he?" "Sure, there have been several messages back and forth by courier. He assures me that he is getting the situation under control." "Oh, he assures you, does he? And meantime, more good people die out there on the frontier?" "Kale, that's why they're banding together, Bull. The ranchers need to stick together to protect themselves from the Scalies, since they know we won't do it." "We will do it. We have the king's writ, and we will also make sure the war doesn't start up again." "By fighting our own people? If that's what it takes." Bull leaned forward on the desk, facing Kale squarely. Kale stood back, but kept his eyes on Bull. "You ever wonder why these rogue Scaly warriors are attacking our settlers now? Hasn't there been peace here for a couple of years?" "I don't care, Kale. I just want it stopped." "Well, you should care. Something has changed. You need to find out what the hell is really going on, not just beat our own citizens into submission for just bloody well defending themselves." Bull let out an exasperated sigh. "Kale, I've already got a meeting set with Sligeth. I will get this settled." "You could have told me that from the beginning." Bull roared. "I don't have to explain my orders to you. Now get the hell out of there and carry them out, or leave my town for good." Kale put his hands on his hips, frowned, then turned about smartly and left the office. He saw the 3 men who had left the office before standing around looking uncomfortable. Kale said, "Okay, get your squads together and get everyone ready and saddled up. We move out in an hour." The men nodded and walked out of the saloon wordlessly. Kale paused, looking at them go, and walked over to the bar where Quinn was wiping out a glass. She asked, "Need anything?" "No, we have to ride out soon." "I heard." "It ain't right, Quinn. Scalies killed a bunch of our settlers, so the settlers band together to fight back. And now Bull wants me to go out and stop the settlers, with force if necessary. We should be fighting the Scalies." "Here's what should be and what is, Kale. You ought to know that." "Yeah, sure, Quinn," Kale sighed. "You know what? I will have a whiskey for the trail." Quinn poured a shot glass out for Kale, who tossed the drink back and winced at the low-quality liquor. She smiled and put the glass in the washing water. When are you getting back?" "Figure on 2 days to get there, then if it goes well, 2 more to get back." "What would going well look like?" "Like the settlers agreeing not to attack the Scalies anymore, and the Scalies not giving them reason to." "Think it'll be that easy?" No, I think we'll have to bust a few heads. Be careful. Because of the Scalies or our own people? Both. Kale nodded and stepped back from the bar. He put his hat on, tipped it at Quinn, and strode out of the Toad to go get Raider ready. That's far enough, a voice called out from the farmhouse. That you in there, Henry? Kale asked as he brought his team to a halt. Kale? Yep. What brings you back down here? Just want to talk a mite? You think we can do that? The rest of your men stay put. You can come in. Kale looked at Jesse and said, Keep the boys out here. Don't do anything sudden or threatening. Just wait for me. I'm going to go talk to Henry. Jesse nodded and Kale rode forward in the cloudy late afternoon light. He hitched up Raider to the post, then approached the door with his hands up, noticing multiple arrows aimed at him through the windows. Henry let him enter, and Kale let the warmth of the house sink in after his cold ride. You're looking well, Henry, Kale said, as he stomped his feet to clear the snow from his boots. Cut the bullshit, Kale, Henry replied. What do you plan on doing with those 20 men outside? Kale looked around the main room. 7 other men were there, 3 of whom were stationed at the shutters with longbows. Kale could also hear several people in the back rooms, mostly children it seemed. Kale looked back at Henry and said, Bull sent us. Here to help us fight the Scalies? No. Didn't think so. Henry spat into the fireplace and the other men stirred restlessly. One of them got up and poked Kale in the chest, forcing him back. What are you thugs going to do then, eh? It's bad enough that we're out here on our own. Then when the Scalies attack and we need help, you all come around. But for what? To keep your filthy drug trade going. At this point, he had pushed Kale back to the door. Kale looked around at the men. I was here when the attacks first happened. Henry can tell you that. Henry nodded. But the fact of the matter is that Kale and the Steel crew are running the show, and they don't want all-out war with the Scalies. So what then? One of the other men said. We're just supposed to roll over and die? Let our families be killed? Not at all, Kale replied. You can defend yourselves, but you can't go on raiding the Scalies. Won't work, Kale. Henry jumped in. We're only strong when we stick together, and we can't be everywhere at once. We never know what farm will be hit, so our best bet is to get together and fight the Scalies at the time and place of our choosing. The men mumbled their assent for this, and 2 more stood up to face Kale. Kale held his hands up to speak. I get it, but it's not up to me. We have our orders, like it or not. Bull is the king's appointed sheriff. Bullshit, Henry yelled. He's nothing more than drug-dealing scum. Now the men roared their approval. Things were rapidly getting out of hand. Kale wondered if the boys were going to come busting in when they heard the clamor. He decided to act. Kale swung hard at the nearest man and took him squarely in the jaw, knocking him to the floor. Before the others realized what had happened, Kale pushed the next man into a sprawling heap with the man right beside him. Kale put his right hand on the pommel of his sword and lifted his left to his lips to whistle shrilly. Stop, you fools. You make any more racket and you'll have 18 men in here and they won't be gentle by the gods. Henry had a broadsword in a scabbard above the fireplace and was reaching for it. He turned his eyes to Kale, who looked directly back. Kale said, The Steel crew won't stop. They'll put you down and not think twice. You are the Steel crew, you son of a bitch, said the man who Kale had hit while rubbing his aching jaw. Kale blew through pursed lips. I suppose I am. But I'm in here talking to you, aren't I? Now, I don't know why the Scalies are attacking now after 2 years, but I do, one of the men at the windows said. Kale turned to face him, still keeping his hand on his pommel. What do you know? He asked. I know that what they mostly steal is food, he replied. Sure, they grab any weapons lying around, but it's clear they're after our food. I thought Scalies didn't even like our food, one of the other men said. They'll eat anything, Kale said. I've seen it. Sean is right. Food is what they're after, Henry added. Something doesn't add up then, Kale mused. There's no way the Scaly chief is in charge of this. Bull said he denies it, but more importantly, we have an exchange plan for 2 weeks from now. Somat deal, you mean? Sean said. Yeah, sure, Kale continued, but the point is, these raids aren't organized by the chief. Why would rogue warriors raid our settlements for food? Because they're hungry, you damn fool, Henry scoffed. I get they're hungry, Kale barked back, but why now? Why, when the tribe is doing so well, it can trade a load of somat? What difference does it make? Henry asked. When I left, Bull said he had a meeting planned with Sliggeth, the scaly chief. I'll tell him about this, and maybe he can help get things sorted out. Maybe we can trade them some food this time if that's what they need. I don't think it'll be that easy, Sean said. Maybe not, but you still need to stop your raids. The men bristled again. Look, even if I let you slide, Bull will just replace me and the next guy won't. Believe me, Bull is highly motivated to keep the flow of Somak going. He won't let you or your families get in the way. The men looked at each other and at the rooms where their families were. What the hell are we supposed to do then, Kale? Henry asked. Kale thought for a moment, then said, Go back to your homes. The men all started bellowing, but Kale yelled for quiet. Calm the hell down. There's what, seven other families here? Henry nodded. Okay, first I'll send my fastest rider back to Bull to let him know why the Scalies have been raiding. Then I'll send 2 or 3 of my men back with each of you. They'll stay for 2 days and help defend your farms if any other Scalies attack. When I go back, I can say that you aren't raiding anymore, so Bull won't have to come down on you. By then, he should have had his meeting with Sliggeth, so that we can get the Scaly raid stopped at the source. What do you say? The men murmured amongst themselves, then the ones at the windows stood up. I don't speak for everyone, Henry said, but that sounds like the best way forward for now. But Kale, we aren't ever going to sit for our families being in danger. I get it, Henry. Let me go out and talk to my men. In the meantime, get yourselves organized to return home. Just as Kale said this, a small girl ran out of a back room and hugged one of the men around the legs. Kale looked quietly at Henry, then went back out the door. We were getting ready to come in there after you, boss, Jesse said as Kale rode up. I figured. Everyone gather round. There's been a change of plan. They all dismounted and formed a circle around Kale. Trory, I need you to ride fast again. I need you to get a message back to Bull that the Scalies have been raiding for food. Maybe he can trade some food to Sliggeth to get these raids stopped. You got all that? Yes, sir. All right, take what you need and get going. The rest of us, we're going to stay on around here for 2 days before heading back. What for? One of the men asked. Yeah, don't take 2 days to bust some heads, another one said. We aren't busting any heads, Kale shouted. There are 7 other families squished into that farmhouse, Kale pointed back. Jarrus, you're with me, staying here. Jesse, take the remaining men and split them into 2s and 3s, each group to go with one of the families back to their farms. What for? Was called out. To protect them from the damn Scalies, that's what for. Any raiding parties come out and you put them down, understood? And by the gods, be good guests in their homes. There was some chuckling. I'm serious, Kale went on. I don't want to hear about dishonored farmers' daughters. Save it for the women at the Toad, or you'll answer to me. Kale glared around at the group. You sure about this, boss? This what Bull had in mind? Jesse leaned over to ask Kale quietly. I'm sure, and you let me deal with Bull. In the meantime, let's get moving. Kale could see the families were starting to emerge from Henry's ranch. Jesse lined up the men in a row and parceled them out as the families hitched up wagons and moved out. Trory had already disappeared to the north. Soon enough, the last group went out of sight, which was just as well, since the sun was starting to set. Most would be home before dark. Kale and Jarrus took a ride around the perimeter of the farmyard and made sure nothing was moving about. Satisfied for the moment, they stabled and rubbed down their horses, then went inside to keep watch for the night. The aroma of stew greeted them, along with the warmth of the fire. Figured you fellows could use a bite to eat, Henry offered gruffly. Martha here makes a hell of a stew. The woman Kale had seen before was ladling out 2 bowls of stew. She looked at Kale and Jarrus briefly, then hurried off to a bedroom to shoo their children off to bed. Much obliged, I'm sure, Jarrus said as he sat down to dig right into the stew. Kale felt his stomach rumble and wasn't too far behind. The stew was quite good, and after being outside all day, it brought a welcome warmth from the inside out. Just as Martha was finishing with the children, both Kale and Jarrus dropped their spoons into empty bowls. They looked at each other and grinned. Land's sakes, I do suppose you men were hungry. Have another bowl. Martha proceeded to fill another bowl for each, while Kale and Jarrus did not refuse. In the meantime, Henry lit his pipe and sat in a rocking chair by the fire. This won't do, Kale, you know, Henry said. Kale swallowed a bite of stew, then replied, I know. If you know, Why do you go along with it? Why do you ride with that band of cutthroats? I heard you have your own spread of land. I do, or I did. I haven't actually been there in a while. Truth be known, Henry, I don't know much about farming. As for the cutthroats, Kale looked sideways at Jairus, who was too busy with his stew to listen. They are the only game in town that counts. Doesn't have to be that way, Henry stated. Kale set down his spoon in the finished bowl. Yes, it does. As long as there's Somat here, as long as Bull is alive with that ring of his, this is the way things are. I've tried to argue and influence, and I've taken it as far as I'll go. I'll help you down here to beat the Scalies back as best I can. The gods know I hate those sons of bitches, but I run with the crew. Jairus pushed back from the table and nodded at Kale's words. Martha collected the 2 empty bowls, and Kale reached for his own pipe. Henry handed him a candle to light it with, and soon Kale sent his own smoke towards the ceiling. Besides, Henry, this might work. Now that we know what the Scalies are after, maybe Bull can make use of that in his meeting. That should put a stop to these raids and get life back to normal. In the meantime, my men will be here till morning 3 days from now. That ought to make any raiding party think twice and give Bull time to put things together. Henry just rocked back in his chair, enjoying his smoke, while keeping an ear cocked to any strange noises outside. Kale respected the silence and slowly savored his pipe as well. The only sound was the winter wind blowing cold across the plains and the creaking of Henry's chair.